time for final thoughts, and yes, I will address the despicable display in Charlottesville this weekend.
Yes, it's time for Final Thoughts, sponsored by Toyota, where I will also be addressing the Charlottesville protest, but unlike you, Tommy, I won't be using this as a way to launch yet another insane attack at the left.
No, you'll be using it to launch an insane attack on the right. Because what you have failed to realize is that you're not a different person. You're just on a different side. You're the same people, all of you. It's actually amazing when you really think about it, just how remarkably similar all you guys are, just on opposite sides. But you think that you're different. Tommy thinks that she's right and virtuous, and her opinions are the way to life, and you think you're right and virtuous, and your opinions are the way to life, and you pretend that the opposite side is truly and dastardly and evil, when more accurately, they're just wrong. Don't get me wrong, though. There are some people, left and right divide, who are vile people, but I mean, they kind of deserve their own section to be, dissected. Continue.
But first, tell us how much you hate your fan base.
To think white supremacists still exist in 2017 is saddening, maddening, and disgusting.
Honestly, I never really liked it when people stopped and they did that. I don't know why I'm talking in that voice. I never really liked it when people take a second to say, this is morally reprehensible! Because, I know. It's it doesn't do anything, to say, hey, this bad thing is bad. It's like saying that. It's like, hey, this bad thing is bad. And look at me tell you how bad this bad thing is. It's bad. It's okay, yeah. I just don't like it. It's just another form of virtue signaling, and I'm not really a big fan of that whole virtue signaling thing.
I have no association with these people.
I don't know about that.
President Trump has no association with these people.
I definitely don't know about that.
And the millions of hardworking and kind-hearted Trump supporters around this country have nothing to do with these people.
If you want to see how these people behave under the veil of anonymity, you can look no further than the comments section of my Instagram page.
Are you sure that they just aren't people that don't like you? I mean, how do you know that they're an accurate reflection of all Trump supporters? Maybe it's just an accurate reflection of people that don't like you and are purposely antagonizing you. Yeah. Sometimes a simple choice is the right choice.
I've been getting death threats for the past 2 days.
In fact, I've seen almost every single prominent conservative, including our president, come out and denounce this ugliness head on.
Okay, first of all, it took Donald Trump 3 full days before he came out to declare that racism is evil.
It took him 3 full days to tell us some shit we already know. And I'm upset that it took him so long because I just need to find a reason to bitch about Donald Trump, man. It really doesn't matter. You should have just said that. You would have been... It would have been a little bit of a mouthful, but I mean, if you would have said that, it just would have, been clearer to the audience.
And since you made this video before Trump's press conference this morning and currently lack the capabilities of future seeing, let's talk about Trump's first reaction to Nazis parading in the streets.
This egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence on many sides. On many sides.
I'm sorry, what? Hell no there isn't! You have Nazis working side by side with Confederates.
Antifa, you're pretty not nice people. Let's put it that way.
And then you have the good guys on the other side. That's 2 sides. This isn't fucking Game of Thrones. And by the way, it's not like Trump is known for measured, mild-tempered responses, so his neutral tone in this instance was absolutely deliberate.
Yeah, maybe he's learning that he should be more mild-mannered and, more calm and rational in his responses to things. Maybe he's learning?
I mean, look at some of the subjects Donald Trump has been harsher on than Nazis. He called Mexicans rapists and thugs and murderers.
He called illegal immigrants all those things, not Mexicans who come in legally. And he's not wrong about how some of them are those things.
He called New Hampshire a drug-infested den. He's called Rosie O'Donnell a pig.
I mean, I'd look her right in that fat, ugly face of hers. I'd say, Rosie, you're fired.
It's not really like Rosie O'Donnell is like a saint or anything like that. I mean, he doesn't like her. So, I don't like her either. I mean, I don't really know her all that much, either. But I mean, I don't really see the relevance here.
He's called mainstream media an enemy of the American people.
I could understand why. In an inflammatory statement, sure, but the news media I mean, they actively only portray and show incredibly terrible and negative news stories and actively try to convince people of a false narrative and false truths all the time. So false truth is an oxymoron. Lies, basically. So I mean, I can understand why he would say that, especially considering how the media comes down on him hard and misconstrue the shitty things he says to make them even more shitty than what they originally were. I mean, I can completely understand why Donald Trump, of all people, would say that, considering all of the nasty shit that he had to deal with the mainstream media. Like, I mean, just with some basic empathy. I mean, Donald Trump is still a person. Like, I'm sure even he doesn't like to have the bullshit he said look even worse than what it actually was.
He's even attacked Diet Coke. He said no skinny person drinks it. Donald Trump drinks Diet Coke.
But Donald Trump isn't a skinny person.
But when it comes to white supremacists and Nazis, who happen to be prominent vocal members of his voting bloc, we get deflection. The fucking Tiki Torch Company has shown more integrity denouncing neo-Nazis than Donald Trump has.
Yeah, but it's not really like they needed to. Oh, hey, we didn't have nothing to do with those guys. They were just customers who came in and bought the torches. The torches. And to that, everybody just kind of sat around and was like, yeah, no shit. We know. We're not dumb. You don't have to give us a statement. You can't read their minds. How the fuck are you supposed to know they were white nationalists? Like, it is a completely fucking useless line, just that appears only to make them look good or make them look like they're not guilty. But people with a functioning cognitive system already have this knowledge, this understanding.
But what do you have to say about that, Tomi?
And let me say this to all of you social media warriors out there.
You are broadcasting from your Honda Civic to Facebook. Newsflash, Tomi, you and I are both social media warriors. Although only one of us got fired from a TV network. That was you.
We know. I have a feeling I'm going to be saying it a lot today.
Who have gone out of your way to pin this on conservatives, on Trump supporters, on Republicans. You should be ashamed of yourselves. That kind of nonsense is uncalled for.
That kind of nonsense is uncalled for. I love this part. I genuinely love this part. Because you made a career pinning bullshit on liberals. You said Black Lives Matter is the KKK. And now that we're actually dealing with the KKK, you're still using this as an opportunity to attack the left. What good do you think you're doing?
He does kind of have a point there.
Especially when you use this violent racist attack that left 20 people wounded and killed Heather Heyer to go back and launch an attack on Antifa as if counter-protesters were equally at fault?
And then you lose me here, because Antifa has a habit of going around and attacking people who haven't done shit to them. So, no, you were on the right path, the right path, and then you shot yourself in the foot, and then you rolled down the hill, right off that path. I tried.
If you want to call out violence and hate and lawlessness and bigotry, don't forget to include the so-called anti-fascists on your list. They're far from innocent in this, so let's hear you call them out too.
That's like saying the KKK and civil rights activists were both at fault for lynchings in the Jim Crow South.
No. See, here's the thing. Like, Antifa are a group of delusional people who believe they're fighting against fascism. And they're trying to fight against fascism by attacking and beating up people that have zero political power and would oftentimes just be ignored if left to their own devices. The civil rights movement, on the other hand, had to deal with actual laws that prevented them and actual discrimination that prevented them from living healthy and well-meaning lives. They're not even remotely close to being comparable in all actuality. So you should not compare them.
It's so disingenuous to, on the one hand, empower your Confederate fan base with your anti-immigration, anti-BLM rhetoric, and then briefly denounce Nazis, only to follow it up with, why won't the left denounce Antifa? As if fascists and anti-fascists are the same.
You know, the twisted part about it all is, I mean, I hear a lot of Antifa members are communists, or they're really big fans of communism. Like consider that idea for a second. Consider that idea for just for a second. They're anti-fascists, but they're also communists. The amount of cognitive dissonance that must exist in your mind to be a part of Antifa and support communism is astonishing. This is why no other word but delusional describes these people. than in the fact that they think they're fighting against fascism in America, of all places.
This is exactly why these assholes no longer feel the need to wear robes and hide their faces, Tommy. They feel emboldened by commentators like you providing them cover with terrifying false equivalencies.
More accurately, this can be its own video essay on its own. These people have actually just kind of adopted the insults that were pelted on them for many, many moons and wear it as an armor so you can no longer criticize them. It's really stupid, if you honestly think about it, which is why it will take its own video to dissect, but that's what they're doing. I mean, are these their actual genuine opinions? I won't really know unless I talk to them or I hear them, you know, verbatim on what they actually say, but that's actually where a huge portion of using the word or calling themselves Nazis come from. In all actuality, these people are not National Socialists, and they shouldn't be called Nazis. They just wear it as a badge of honor. Not I said badge, but they just wear it as a sort of ideological armor so you can't criticize them. It's really dumb if you think about it, but that's why they're doing it. In other words, it's just a response to all the nonsense that was constantly pelted on them when they felt like they were moderates and they just had an opinion that was unpopular. In other words, you've kind of created your own monster. Now you're upset at the fact.
Let's hear you denounce the crap as well.
You literally just said I denounce Nazis for killing people, and then asked, why won't the left denounce the people protesting Nazis for killing people?
Antifa, they're not heroes. They literally dress like fucking bandits and attack people. They're not the good guys here. You just have a bunch of villains fighting each other, and then people pretending that because someone's like, hey, those are bad guys too, they're like, oh, you're just trying to defend Nazis now? It's like, no, you faggot. Like, they're all terrible people. They're all the same type of person. Honestly, they're just on different sides. You and Tommy are the same person. You're just on an opposite side fighting against each other. It's remarkably, it's hilarious. In a really twisted, sad, depressing kind of way, but hilarious all the same.
Your reaction video is basically Donald Trump's original bullshit non-response drawn out to its logical limits, Tommy.
Where are the Democrats? After the violence at Berkeley and Portland and yes, Charlottesville. After the BLM riots in Ferguson, Baltimore, Baton Rouge, and St. Paul.
And then you paint a broad brush over all the left-wing activism and equate it back to Nazis beating black people with baseball bats. Here's why that's incredibly intellectually dishonest, even for you. Well, first off, because Nazis, duh.
They're not National Socialists. They're not Nazis, and they don't even have a political foothold. They're just a bunch of unemployed white people who are frustrated with being called racist multiple times. Now, this doesn't make them heroes, because they're actually pretty silly and have lost their goddamn minds, this is true, but they're an adversary that has been created by the political climate that the left wing has made. They exist because of you. They are a thing because of people like you, my friend. You have created... See, here's the thing. Maybe I should just make this its own video, but like you've spent so much time peddling nonsense and bullshit in these people's minds. You've literally created your own opponent, and when they actually materialize, you have no real way to battle against them. So you're just kind of left with this shit here, trying to make Donald Trump look bad because you've got nothing left, unfortunately.
There were armed militia patrolling the streets with Confederate flag patches and Nazi patches like they're doing an ISIS-style hostile takeover. How is this the same? Can you imagine black people who can't protest without opposition even attempt to exercise their Second Amendment rights while protesting like this? You still shit on Colin Kaepernick for kneeling in his protest, and now you direct your crosshairs of blame at liberals?
Will you call out the violent left?
A fucking neo-Nazi drove from Ohio to Charlottesville to kill people and successfully drove his car into a crowd of counter-protesters like a goddamn terrorist. So yeah, let's call out the violent left when we have 18 Republican legislators who have introduced bills to make this act of terrorism legal.
I'm gonna need a little bit more information on that, because I don't think that is accurate. I don't think that there are 18 bills proposed to make it legal to drive your car into someone and kill them. But of course, I could be wrong there, but just with, common sense, I know I'm not.
This is why there aren't many sides to this, Tommy. And it might seem like I'm attacking you, but I'm actually asking you for help. This is why we need people like you to issue condemnations.
Oh yes, that's a bad thing. Don't do bad stuff. Yeah, that's gonna work. Yeah, it's gonna make vile, evil people no longer be vile and evil. Just tell them that it's bad.
without trying to lob back cheap shots against the left. Because you can't truly condemn Nazis and then claim that Charlottesville is no different from liberal protests.
The truth of the matter is, which you seem to not be understanding, is that Tomi is saying that they're all truly evil and dastardly. Unfortunately, her bias against the left makes her zone in on the fact that no one condemns all of the actions that these left-wing protesters had. But, I mean, in all actuality, she is saying that these are all horrible things. In fact, as I've been saying, you guys are just the same person on opposite ends. You're the one who's saying, hey, all of these Nazis are all vile, terrible people. Tomi is saying all of the Black Lives Matter people, who are fighting and attacking all these businesses are vile, terrible people. You're just on different sides, but you're the same person.
Without trying to lob back cheap shots against the left. Because you can't truly condemn Nazis and then claim that Charlottesville is no different from liberal protests. I want you to understand that, just like I understand that not all Trump supporters are Nazis.
No shit. I would argue that none of these people are Nazis. They're just cosplayers. They just pretend to be Nazis because that's what they've been called for the past couple of years. But they're not actually National Socialists, and they have no political power, so there's not even a reason to be afraid of these people. If you just left them alone, none of this shit would happen, and they wouldn't have any fucking relevance at all. But people just like fighting, so fat chance of that happening anytime soon.
And look, talk of economic anxiety aside, it is undeniable that race has played an important role for some. And this administration is absolutely aware of that. Otherwise, it wouldn't take 3 days of bipartisan verbal tomahawks launched at them before coming out with a real statement of condemnation. This is why taking on white supremacy has to be a collaborative effort. And I call upon you, Tomi, and other like-minded conservatives to have these difficult conversations with your friends and fans. We always ask black people and Muslims to police their own communities, and the time has now come for white people to do the same. Or
you can just look at these people as the pariahs that they are, that can't do anything at all, and just ignore them. The more attention you give them, the more emboldened they truly feel. You think these people feel emboldened because they weren't condemned? No, in all actuality, giving them attention is precisely what they desire, because that means they have more attention, more influence to get to people. Because now people have to defend them on principle, rather than defend them based on their actual ideas. The principle being that they do indeed have a right to march and say what they want to say, as long as they're not inciting violence. I mean, they do, unfortunately, but I can't even say that's unfortunate. I actually have to say, fortunately they do, because that means people can evaluate what they say, find out it's nonsense, and then move on. Well, that's the end of his video, and subsequently, the end of mine. Now, the title of his video is not entirely accurate. I mean, Tomi has compared Black Lives Matter to the KKK, but it's not really what she was doing in the current video. I guess I'm gonna wrap the video up with this, man. Excuse me. Not with that burp, but with this statement. Like, the real problem here is not a lack of condemnation. First of all, condemnation does fuck all to dissuade or persuade anyone from doing anything unless you're a child. But if you're an adult, then it really doesn't matter if someone says, I didn't like the way you feel. I mean, you're an adult. Come on, come on. Right? The truth of the matter is, you're really going to beat, if you really want to beat these people, these Nazis, you call them, or these white supremacists, then what you have to do is you have to show them how remarkably silly their ideas are. Attacking these people and preventing them from being able to do what they should be able to do is just going to make them look sympathetic. And because people like looking good, they're going to rush to their defense based on principle. Stop doing that shit. Let them speak. Let the Nazis say what they have to say. And people will see how absolutely absurd it is. And they're not going to follow it. But if it means that they're going to be cool and rebellious when they get a bunch of attention for doing this, people are going to do it. Because contrary to popular belief, human beings are incredibly irrational creatures, and they love, doing things based on their emotions. So, armed with that knowledge, stop attacking these people and stop fighting these people in the streets, because that's what they want. Beat them intellectually, man. Don't try to fight them, because it's not gonna get you anywhere. Talking to you, Antifa. So that being said, man, I just hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you did, man, go ahead and click that like button. Yeah, shoot, go and click that subscribe button. Comment in the comment box below, and as always, you guys have yourselves a great day. I'll see you cool cats soon. Adios.